We call it annexing. It is the age-old tradition in the Christian church of adopting practices and language from outside the church and reinventing, reinterpreting, or repurposing them and giving them Christian meaning. That is exactly what Paul does so skillfully in his letter to the Colossians. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. Over the centuries, the church has integrated and reinterpreted many practices from the world around it and put its own stamp on them. Many of these practices have been so skillfully annexed by the church that we can't even imagine that they started anywhere else. For example, nowhere in the Bible is there a hint about exactly when Jesus was born. But as the church became adopted by Emperor Constantine as the official religion of the Roman Empire in the 4th century, there is some evidence that the church essentially took over the old Roman observance of Sol Invictus, or unconquered sun, that spelled S-U-N, which was celebrated on December 25th. There is controversy about this connection, but it is safe to say that the church saw some advantage in essentially taking over this holiday and Christianizing it as a way to assist in the transfer of loyalties among everyday Roman citizens from pagan worship to Christian worship. In Paul's letter to the Colossians, Paul appears to do something similar, only instead of annexing a pagan holiday, he annexes pagan language. Let me explain. As with all of Paul's letters, there is a specific issue at stake here, an issue that has to do with right belief. It seems that the Colossian Christians were falling into the trap of commingling Christian faith with other belief systems. This is a practice known as syncretism, the practice of taking pieces and parts of different belief systems and performing a sort of theological mashup. I'll get to the specifics of that as we read farther into the letter, but as we will see in today's reading, Paul chooses some words that seem pretty innocuous to us, but were actually words used by some of Paul's opponents. Today's reading is a portion of what Paul reports to the Colossians when he prays for them. Listen to this brief section from Colossians 1. He says, "For this reason, since the day we heard it, we have not ceased praying for you and asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of God's will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so that you may lead lives worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to Him as you bear fruit in every good work and as you grow in the knowledge of God. May you be made strong with all the strength that comes from His glorious power, and may you be prepared to endure everything with patience, while joyfully giving thanks to the Father, who has enabled you to share in the inheritance of the saints in light. He has rescued us from the power of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of His beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins." Well, at first blush, nothing sounds out of place here, but there are at least 4 words or ideas that seem to have been part of the belief systems that Paul considered foreign to the gospel and threatens the church. These are the ideas of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the dichotomy between light and dark. All of these terms seem to us perfectly at home in Christian faith, and really so they are. But in the 1st century in Asia Minor, which was a virtual flea market of religious ideas and philosophical schools, these terms had particular meanings in some of the competing belief systems. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in particular were often understood in the context of secret knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which were open only to a select few. This would have been characteristic, for example, of the belief system loosely termed Gnosticism, a heresy that vexed theologians for centuries. In the same way, the light-dark dichotomy was characteristic of an ancient religion known as Zoroastrianism, a religion that grew up in ancient Persia and emphasized a kind of dualistic understanding of heavenly powers, powers divided between good and evil, and between light and dark. So if these terms and concepts were characteristic of other religions and philosophies, Why in the world would Paul adopt these terms and ideas? Simple, actually. He adopts them and reinterprets them within the context of the Christian faith. The ideas themselves would have been well known by his readers and hearers. But by using them, by annexing them, he essentially moves the other belief systems out of the way and replaces them with the Christian faith. And he makes it easy for people to make the full jump from one religious tradition to another, from one religious tradition, pagan, to Christian faith and belief. It's really a brilliant move, and one that would prove crucial to the growth and spread of Christianity in the ancient world. When we return tomorrow, Paul takes the next step and asserts the primacy of Jesus Christ over all other religious figures. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.